On the same vein of mass immigration into our country and the support that it garners for the Liberals, we have another piece of legislation that they've just introduced. And I think it's actually a revamp of previously introduced legislation. But it makes citizenship available by descent. And so it extends citizen by descent rules beyond the first generation. And that means that it would automatically give citizenship to anyone who would be a citizen today, if not for the first generation limit, which under the current rules, a Canadian citizen born outside of Canada cannot pass their citizenship to their child who was also born outside of the country. So the new legislation would allow them to access citizenship beyond that first generation, as long as the parent spent at least 1,000, just over 1,000 cumulative days or 3 years physically in Canada prior to the birth of their child.
It's
So
yeah.
this is absolutely crazy. So you don't have to be a citizen,
Mhm.
come into the country, be here for at least 3 years, leave, give birth to a child in another country,
Yeah.
and then they can still be eligible for citizenship just because you were here for 3 years.
And it says the new legislation will create unknown but significant number of Canadian citizens around the world. And it's going to happen overnight. Listen to this. Foreign nationals who had been seeking to come to Canada as permanent residents before, but who may have been unable to meet the stringent point requirements under the current assessment tools, may now find that they are already Canadian citizens, just like that. This is ludicrous. Oh my gosh. So
If they're able,
they're making Canadians overnight. And
if
then they're
they're,
just gonna come here. Ugh.
and they can do this dating all the way back to the Dominion of Canada prior to 1947. Like, this is absolute. Every day, I swear, I say things cannot get any crazier here in Canada. We've reached peak crazy. Okay, we've got to rein it in now. Now is like the peak, and it's all going to get under control.
Well, not only that, like the whole removing stringent barriers, like the people that have come here before, they fought to come here. It was the traditional story. I came here with like $2 in my pocket, my old boss would tell me, and things like that. And the lady who does my eyebrows, she was shocked. She doesn't follow politics. She just does eyebrows. Um, she's an Indian lady that's been here for years. She was so shocked when I was telling her some of this. She's like, "Do you know what I had to do to come here to be a business? I had to give you guys $60,000 just to come here with one person so I could start a business when I came here." And she was just blown away about all the handouts. She's like, "They gotta go." Like, and so it's not when you hand it out that easy. I mean, that goes with beyond immigration. If you do too much for people, they don't care themselves and they don't have
Mhm.
the drive to do it. So you cannot coddle adults around the world and just make them Canadians when they didn't even try hard enough to do so.
Yeah, why do you expect, or how do you expect someone to follow our laws if
Yeah.
they haven't even had to go through any sort of law
Yeah.
to get here in the first place? Or they're just disavowing it completely and skirting those regular checks and balance and coming here illegally. I
Mhm.
mean, I think it's, yeah, at the very end of this article, it shows that they're opening these floodgates is just going to contribute to an already crazy backlog. The lawyers that CTV News found to talk about this, they, expressed concern, or sorry, worry about the ability to process a significant number of new applications. They worry that the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada is not equipped to handle the influx of applications. As of April 30th, there were currently more than 2 million applications in their
Wow.
inventory, of which 242,500 are for citizenships. And the backlog currently stands at 760,000 applications. So
Wow.
this is only going to get worse. And then we have estimates that we don't even know for certain, but are in the range of 200 to 500,000 refugee claimants who aren't actually eligible to stay in Canada that we just don't even know where they went.
Yeah,
They're
they
just
don't
like,
know.
"Oh, we're not sure.
I
It
don't
could be 200,000, could be 500,000, or like maybe even more,
know. Yeah.
but they're gone."
They're
So,
not tracking
oops,
them
I
when they come
guess.
in. Like, yeah, oops, we don't know where they are. And then they say, oh, we're working hard on figuring something else. Yeah, figuring out how to get them in as fast as possible for before the next election. That's my theory. I think
Exactly.
it's becoming obvious at this point.
Exactly. All right. Well, we hit all the headliners. Let's get to a couple of the extras here that we have. Well, here on the same vein, why don't we just chat quickly about how immigrants own and rent homes at higher rates now than the Canadian born populace. This new report comes from Statistics Canada, which shows immigrants are both owning and renting out more homes than those born in this country.
Wow.
This was a newly released report, and it was collected in 2021, which we know that immigration has only continued to skyrocket since that time. So this problem is likely exponentially worse than is contained in this report. Immigrants occupied 310 housing units per 1,000 people. That's in 2021,
Mm.
compared to just 271 units for Canadian born individuals.
Well,
On average, sorry, I'm just going to read here. Non-permanent residents occupy 41 owned units and 316 rental units per 1,000 people for a total of 357 housing units. Like these are astronomical numbers, and again, these are not an accurate reflection of what it is currently. This was based on 2021, and we've gone up millions in
and
new Canadians since
yeah.
that time.
You'll own nothing and be happy. I suspect it's worse out here too, because for years we've had the issue with not even immigrants, just people from China buying up our property out here and keeping the houses empty, which caused a lot of issues with renting and things like that. But now the trend is that the houses are not so much empty. Instead, they're renting each room out to like a whole bunch of people, and the rooms are outrageous. So I think that the stats probably higher out in at least the lower mainland.
Yeah, and the conversation's starting to happen about immigration, but I mean, it wasn't even really a campaign issue during the latest snap election. So, how do we fix a problem if we can't even talk about it? That's kind of where I'm at. We see here at the end of this article that asylum claims from people like international students that come here, that a situation that has been exploited by that by international students and the lawyers and the advocates to get them here. They then claim asylum, and those claims have surged with 20,245 claims being filed by students in 2024 alone. And from one college in particular, Conestoga, which I believe is in Ontario, had 720 refugee claims seeking refugee status. So, I mean, this problem's not going anywhere. It's only getting worse. This data is going to take years to get in and compile. That's what we have from 2021, and I would say that it's exponentially worse than that.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.